Second meeting of the Grand Forks Public School Board to order. Our first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. The flags are up in this area. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on our agenda is the reading of the school board meeting norms. Cynthia?
Be prepared, be on time, value and respect each other, exercise thoughtful deliberation and conversation, be professional at the board table and when visiting with the general public, speak up when the norms are not being followed, and advocate on behalf of students and keep the community in mind.
Thank you. Next item is the approval of the agenda. Okay.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Dr. Brenner has one item to add under consent.
What you have at your workstation is a memo from me. This was hand-delivered today, so it's being walked in this evening. This has to do with a student teacher having access to student data, so it comes under that privacy piece. And if we don't approve this, the student teacher cannot get started tomorrow, and she won't be able to fulfill her hours. So the recommendation would be to add that to consent and to approve that. Thank you.
Can we amend the motion to include that item?
No problem, thank you.
Okay.
I can do that.
Okay. Who seconded?
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Phil.
Sure.
Okay, just a point of order. We have to do a roll call vote outside of consent items, so we're going to start doing that practice from now on because we had we found information that said that that is a good practice. So we will do that. So I'll call a roll call vote outside of every consent agenda vote. Okay? So we'll call the roll.
Anderson?
Yes.
Berger is absent. Gockler?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Lunn?
Yes.
Manley is absent. Palmasino?
Yes.
Shab?
Yes.
And Flynn?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, 2 absent.
Motion carries. Thank you for kind of the switch up. I know it'll kind of take a little bit longer, but we'll get used to it shortly. Next item is the approval of minutes from January 8th, 2024. Are there any changes or recommendations? Okay.
These are procedural.
We will,
This is a procedure, so assuming.
oh,
Assuming it will.
okay. And the agenda would have been procedure? Or no? Okay. This is a procedural vote, so we're going to assume a roll call vote on this one. Go ahead. Yes, yes. So, sorry, I just wanted to state that. Go ahead, Dr. Lund. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. We're now on to the public comment section of our agenda. We have one blue card, and for those individuals wishing to speak, we'll come up to the microphone here. There's a yellow button that you can hit, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak on the item. So Durga, if you just state your name and address, and then go ahead. Just tap it very lightly, and then it'll turn red. There you go.
Oh.
You're on.
I see, okay. Hello everyone, my name is Durga. I'm a parent of a first grader at Wilder Elementary, and I'm here to ask you to consider adding indoor bicycle parking in the design for the new Valley Middle School. I have it in my head that my daughter, in about 5 years, when she goes to Valley, will bike to school, and maybe we'll get her an e-bike to make the commute less arduous. But I can't stomach the thought of having it locked outside in a forgotten corner in the yard to an unbolted rack, exposed to the elements all day. I know what you're thinking. I might as well be asking for like a helipad on top of the school for my daughter's school drop-off. But let's consider these 4 things. Number 1, we do spend lavishly on car infrastructure. A parked car takes up 10 times more space than a parked bicycle. A moving car takes up 28 times more space than a moving bicycle. And we do roll out the red carpet for cars, but don't notice it because it's the norm. In the design renderings provided by Icon, whom I think are here today, sorry guys, instead of green space or a landscaped yard lined with sidewalks and pathways leading to the front door, there's a huge driveway for car drop-offs. And the impression is sort of like a fast food drive-through rather than a front yard for an important public institution. And I understand why the design is like that, and I would like to see the same kind of red carpet rolled out for those using active modes of transportation to get to school. Number 2, Valley has the advantage of being embedded in a neighborhood setting with a traditional urban fabric made up of human-scale neighborhood streets rather than being located way out at the edge of town, kind of like this building, accessed by an arterial road. In fact, the biking distance from the far corners of Valley's catchment area to the school is about 15 minutes. 15 minutes from the edges of the catchment area. Number 3, yes, the weather during the school year is trash. We even have a handful of days that are dangerous, lethal even, to be outside. Who's going to be outside biking? But I do ask you to consider that we might pose the same question about the playground equipment at the grade schools or the sports fields surrounding the middle school and the high school. We recognize that the polar vortex is not the entire winter season and that the regular school year includes fall and spring months as well. Final point, there are 3 things certain in life: death, taxes, sporadic instability in the global oil markets. Post-pandemic, we were slammed with crazy high gas prices, and everyone was having a hard time finding enough bus drivers. These kinds of shocks to the system are easier to weather when there are alternatives available. Making it easier to bike to school is a way to foster resilience in that system. And during the winter months, there are 2 types of people you see biking in all kinds of weather. The truly dedicated with fancy bikes and all the most expensive gear, or the truly desperate who have no other choice. Cycling is economical, democratic, and socially just, and providing a secure, sheltered place to store their bikes benefits both of these people, and maybe even inspire others to give it a go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yep, there you go. Okay, there are no superintendent's recommendations for discussion, so we'll move on to superintendent's recommendations for action. On the consent agenda, we'll ask for a motion for approval.
As amended.
Move approval.
As amended. Dr. Lunn, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Josh. Assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item B, contracted staff resignation and request for release from contract for Ryan Dolslager. Dr. Brenner?
Thank you, Madam President. On page 12 of your electronic packet, you'll find my memo, and also behind that a resignation from Ryan Dolslager, history teacher at Grand Forks Central High School. Mr. Dolslager is resigning effective January 8th, 2024 for personal reasons. We've gone through this routine before, so I won't read the middle portion of the memo. So the administrative recommendation is to approve Ryan Dolslager's resignation effective January 8th, 2024, with the 5% liquidated damages under policy DKBB. Thank you.
Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Motion by Dr. Lunn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bill. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Just a question as I was listening and reading again. January 8th has passed. Could you explain that, please?
Yes, he's basically been on leave, and we have that. The position's been filled internally, but now moving forward, we have somebody who's student taught in social studies at Central High School who will fill out the balance of his contract.
Graduate.
Graduated from the university, yes.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Okay. We will take the roll call.
Larson,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Manley is absent, Palmasino,
Yes.
Shab,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Berger is absent, Gockler.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, 2 absent.
I didn't vote.
I'm sorry,
It's okay.
Amber.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to the contracted staff resignation and request for release from contract for Samantha Casserly. Dr. Brenner?
Thank you again. Page 16, you'll find my cover memo and the resignation letter behind that. This is like the last one. Attached, you're going to see the resignation letter from Samantha Casserly, English teacher at Valley Middle School. She's resigning effective January 2nd, 2024, for personal reasons, and we have been backfilling that position for a length of time at the time of this communication to all of you. So the administrative recommendation is to approve Samantha Casserly's resignation effective January 2nd, 2024, with the 5% liquidated damages under policy DKBB.
Do I have a motion for approval? Motion by Dr. Lunn. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, we will take the roll call vote.
Gockler,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Manley's absent, Palmasino,
Yes.
Shab,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Berger is absent, Flynn.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, 2 absent.
Motion carries. We'll now move on to item D, consideration of resolution relating to the issuance of bonds and the reimbursement of certain expenditures. Brandon?
President Flynn, members of the board, as you're well aware, there are a number of major projects going on for the school district, Valley Middle School, the central kitchen, and safety and security, which is all associated with the same public referendum, but also HVAC upgrades and the Career Impact Academy. In working with our bond council, they had recommended that this resolution be considered by you just to allow more flexibility. This would comply with regulations in order to preserve the option for the district to be reimbursed from bond proceeds. So it's a cash flow issue if you pay a bill prior to some of the proceeds coming in. With that, administrative recommendation agrees with that bond council to approve the resolution related to the issuance of bonds and the reimbursement of certain expenditures.
Any questions or discussion?
I make a motion to approve the resolution relating to the issuance of bonds as recommended by administration.
Motion by Dr. Shab. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Josh. We will take a roll call vote.
Palmasino,
Yes.
Shab,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Berger's absent, Gockler.
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Manley is absent, Flynn.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, 2 absent.
Motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move on to the Finance Committee report. First item on the agenda is the consideration of the bid award for the Child Nutrition Central Kitchen Project. Brandon? Or Bill, did you want to say anything prior?
Yeah, the Finance Committee did meet with.
Do you want to put your mic on?
I'm getting there. Finance Committee has met with the contractors moving forward. We have 2 handouts that are in front of you. Brandon, or one of the contractors, will walk through some of these handouts. There's yours. You got yours? She stole it, okay. Yeah. The Finance Committee has agreed to move both of these forward with a yes vote. So, but we would rather explain everything prior to this. And Brandon, I'm not sure who's going to start.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. The first of the items related to the bid award for the Child Nutrition Central Project, exciting news. I will take this thunder in that it all came under budget. So that's really exciting. Here with us is Ben Matheson with Construction Engineers just to walk through a couple of details.
Good evening. Thanks for having us here tonight. To kind of give you the high-level summary of the Central Kitchen project, construction engineers received bids for the project at our office on January 12th. At that time, we reviewed those bids and have been able to compile those into the summary you see before you tonight. The summary you're looking at has a left-hand column that has what we call the design development estimate, which basically was where we were working towards the overall $6 million budget for the project. When you look on the second page in the orange column, that's where we were at back at our design development estimate a few months ago. Once bids were received, reviewed, and compiled into this, we're happy to report that we have been able to bring that cost in a total project cost of $5,355,000. Which includes all soft costs related to the project. So for the construction project itself, we are looking at all accepted alternates. There was 4 alternates within the project. The big one, I won't go into great details with this, but the big one being a garage addition, which we put into the project as kind of a cushion. Should bids have come in higher, we could have eliminated the garage. But because the numbers came in favorably, we're able to have all 4 alternates accepted, included as part of the project. So with that, those 4 alternates included, we're looking at a total guaranteed maximum price for construction engineers on this at $4,812,582. As you look in the right-hand columns of your estimate sheet here, you'll see the CD estimate breaks down item by item where the bids came in, and then the variance column to the left has the difference from where we were at design development to today. Numbers in red in parentheses are ones that came in underneath the bid. So the big ticket item here that came in under estimate was the food service equipment. A number of other ones did as well, but overall, things were timed very well, getting the bid out early in January. It's a very favorable market here right now in this time of the year. So I guess with that, I won't go into too much detail unless you have questions.
Any questions? Go ahead, Dr. Lum.
Brandon, I think this is for you or our B&G gentleman. Is he here? Oh, yeah, I just can't see mine. When we get bids that come in under like this, and then we look at alternates for this, is somebody looking district-wide? In other words, say, yeah, we look at this garage and we say, yeah, we can build that because it came under bid, but maybe we would want to accept an alternate for the Career Impact Academy or you know, our upgraded security. Is there somebody looking globally to say, well, yeah, sure, it came under for this bid, or is that something we can't legally do, or it's not practical? I guess I'm just wondering is, you know, because I look at it as kind of like a home budget. It's a pile of money, and this pile goes to the nutrition, this pile goes to CIA, but can it be shifted around, and is that even practical?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. School member Lund, excuse me, is that it can be done to some extent, but not in the entirety of what you're saying. So this budget comes from the mill levy that was passed on May 16th this year. So it's confined to the $79 million project scope that was passed, which included the Valley Middle School construction, child nutrition, relocation of the central kitchen, and the safety and security. So there are things that could really happen between there. So if we're able to get everything done that we needed within this project, there's some flexibility among those other projects, but it would not be able to go to, you listed one other project like the Career Impact Academy.
I think, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think Brandon had one on the garage, was much appreciated by the people delivering the food, to be able to have dry trucks and trucks within the garage when they're loading and ready to go out, than to be sitting outside and freezing up in our weather. And it's a good addition for what we're doing, and it'll be nothing but a plus. And the price is under budget, which moving forward, that still leaves us some money if we need it in another location.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I wasn't picking on the garage thing, building a garage. To me, it was more of a concept kind of question, more than anything. I'm not disagreeing with any of the things you were pointing out. So it was more of a concept kind of question for me.
No, great question. I can just articulate the motion in that what we'd be looking for here for your consideration is approval of the guaranteed maximum price related to the construction cost. That's $4,812,582, and then also an explicit approval of the 1.5 owner contingency should anything come up in the project.
Do I have a motion for approval? Dr. Shab, is there a second?
I'll second.
Bill? We'll take a roll call vote.
Lund,
Yes.
Manley's absent, Palmasino. Shab.
Shab?
Yes.
That's okay.
Anderson.
Yes.
Berger absent, Gockler. Larson.
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, 2 absent.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the change order update, Career Impact Academy, to include issues for construction plan updates and accepted value engineering efforts. Brandon?
Yes, thank you, Chair Flynn. So this is just the second part of the Finance Committee's discussion that happened just an hour ago. As you recall, just at the last board meeting on January 8th, this board had allocated the consideration for change orders to the Finance Committee, which is what was done. But in consideration of the amount that's being talked about here was approved that Finance Committee wanted to bring it to the full board for discussion. At your table side, you'll see this draft AIA document, the G701 2017 document, and this gives a quick summary here, and the number you'll be looking for this change order is $562,582. You'll see above that, as the contract change orders as follows, is listed a number of CRXs, and they kind of come in pairs. There's a number of civil changes, structural, architectural, mechanical, and electrical, and then with them are some value engineering items. So a couple important points just that were talked through at Finance Committee and worth knowing here is that in this process, as an effort to stave off inflationary costs for the Career Impact Academy, it was decided that we would bid this just about as early as possible. And that included really about 60% of the way through design, and that's where that design development stage was. In a lot of cases, you might wait a little bit longer, and the longer you wait, the more certainty you'll have and less change orders that will follow. In the effort to keep inflationary costs down, it was bid earlier, and so with that came a 5% owner contingency that was approved as a part of that contract, full well knowing that that's precisely what this would be used for. And so we were able to get out early in a good bidding environment and get those numbers in, but with this came some of the design detail that followed, so a few of these change order items. And this would be $562,000 addressed out of the owner contingency. So this isn't an increase to the overall budget that had been approved already to this point. I'm happy to add some color to this, and we certainly have our colleagues who work on the project here, PCL Community as our CMAR, and GLG Architects are represented here today on the project. So very happy to, again, add a little more flavor, but that's the conversation Finance has had.
Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Dr. Lund.
Just a comment. This is the exact reason about the discussion last time about bringing it to the board for higher amounts, and I appreciate the Finance Committee looking at this and saying this should come to the whole board because, you know, if you throw 500,000 here, 500,000 there, it adds up really quickly, and the very first one being 562. So yeah. I don't have any disagreements with it. I just appreciate the Finance Committee bringing it here. And just a point. I love all that architectural jumbo mumbo in the middle, but it means nothing to me. I mean, it's, you know, I don't know what they're changing. I just would trust the Finance Committee that they've looked at, and it's appropriate stuff. But the CRX packages mean particularly nothing. So,
and just to offer one additional comment that I think our team would say if they're at the microphone is that most of the uncertainty with any project lies underneath the soil, and this project has come out of the soil now. And so with this, they've been able to preserve about 50% of what is budgeted for owner contingency, or it's about $500,000, and what's left of owner contingency is nearly $750,000. So we're really in a good place on the project. Change orders never feel that way, but as anticipated, this is what it's for. We're out of the ground, and if you've driven by, you'll see some structural steel up out of the ground. It's exciting. So we don't anticipate a lot more of these $500,000 change orders coming.
Any other comments or questions?
I would
Okay.
move approval. I assume we have to approve this.
Yes.
I would move approval.
Okay, Dr. Lund motions approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Dr. Shab. Assuming, or we'll take a roll call vote, and you can say aye or yes, however you'd like to affirm your vote.
Shab,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Berger absent, Gockler,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Manley absent, Palmasino,
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, 2 absent.
Motion carries. Now we'll move on to the general fund statement. Brandon?
Yes, President Flynn, members of the board, so this is our 6th month here, halfway through the year, although not everything comes in exactly on that schedule. But the revenues for the first 6 months are just over $56 million, and the expenditures just over $55 million, and that puts the revenues over expenditures about $713,000. As you go through this, the first of the two reports you'll recognize is the general fund financial report, which puts the actuals against the budget so far this year. Just as you look at the summary sheet, that's page 25 in your electronic packet, you'll note that local sources are about 5% of what budget would have them at over the course of the year, whereas state sources are about 66% and federal about 26%. That's just a reminder that most state resources, 66% or so, come in the fall in these early months, knowing that the other large share of dollars that come into a district are local property taxes, and those get paid out in the first few months of the following year. So wherever we'd expect to be there, and then other or federal sources come in on a reimbursement basis, so as we spend it, we can get that back. You can look through some of the expenditures, and what helps put those in context is the second report. What I'll say about that here for the second report, starting on electronic page 28, is that this one is helpful, and it compares where we're at this point in time this year as compared to last year at the same point in time. And so we have revenues up 7% and expenditures up 20%. A big part of that is what's going to fall into some of our other expenses. So I note a few of these things, and if you go to electronic page 30, just quickly, salaries and fringe benefits are up, which would be anticipated after the negotiated agreement. We do have persistent legal services that are higher than what we have had in years past, and that's related to our international talent that's come in and some of the associated visa fees. But a big driver of where we're at this point in the year is the construction services, and that's a little bit of that conversation we had at the last board meeting about moving some of those expenses into the building fund, which is a better place to account for those, and it won't throw off our budget here at the general ledger. And lastly, worth noting is in the utilities, it's been unseasonably warm, which has been helpful. You'll see the natural gas bill is a little bit down, and so we're always excited to see that. For the graphic depictions, starting on page 31 with the revenues, you can see that we're just ahead of where we were in years past. And onto the next page of 32, you can also see those expenses are driving. Again, a good chunk of those are going to be those construction services, and we'll get those taken out, and you'll see that correct here in the next month or so, as well as the reimbursements lag on a number of different things. So ultimately, you see that general fund balance is not where we'd like to see it if you put it in context to those other bars, but that is a complete timing issue, and you'll see that reconcile here in the next report or two. Ultimately, happy to stand for any questions, but the request today would be administrative recommendation to approve the general fund financial statement for the period of July 1 through December 31st, as presented.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Under legal services, it looks like that's quite a bit higher. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, you are. And that's attributed primarily to our international talent that we bring in. For each of those teachers comes visa fees, and then even for those who are here into a second year, there's some additional costs related to that. So to help fill those teaching position shortages that we've had, we've incurred, well, I think I have it noted here in the report, whereas last year we had totaled of 15 teachers coming from overseas, we had 25 this year, and so that drove those legal costs up.
Brandon, I just have one question. I'm just having a hard time wrapping my brain around, and maybe you can help me on page 33. So this statement is through December 31st. So we had revenues over expenditures by like 700,000, but the green bar dropped significantly. So I'm having trouble just figuring out that.
Yeah, so no, I appreciate it. So that's a general fund balance, so it always starts with the beginning of the year, what you have in there. Mm-hmm. And so when you compare it to those bars, those are in relation to last year. So last year at this time, it would have had a revenue over expense of $6 million as opposed to what's reported at this month of $700,000 or so. And I apologize if those numbers aren't correct. I'd be happy to get you those corrected numbers. So the bars are actually in relation to the previous years. That's in relation to the balance and where it's carried. So you'll see that bar come back up in the next.
It's not reflective of the balance.
It's the aggregate amount.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion for approval of the general fund statement? Motion by Bill, is there a second? Second by Monty. Take a roll call vote.
Anderson.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Gockler.
Yes.
Palmasino.
Yes.
Lunn.
Yes.
Shab.
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, 2 absent.
Motion carries. We're now on to announcements. Are there any announcements? Go ahead.
It pays to come early because then you get to talk to the IT people. So there is a robotic tournament occurring at South Middle School on February 2nd and 3rd, Friday and Saturday. So all of us are welcome to come there. Mr. Vadova said we can actually be judges. If anybody wants to be judge, he said you have to know nothing about robotics. They give you all the information. And if you're interested in being a judge, I would check with Mr. Vadova after the meeting as he comes out of the closet over there. But if not, if you could even attend on February 2nd or February 3rd, just to show your support. It's probably going to be the biggest robotics tournament in the state ever, is what I've been told. So.
Thank you, Dr. Lunn. You stole my thunder. It's fine. Yes, as I thought I was going to get to help, but my daughter's participating, so I don't think it's fair to be a judge with a participant. But it's really fun to see all the kids. And Red River High School, actually, I think some of the normal students that help are actually participating in something else. So that's why there's such a need for that as well. So any other announcements? Okay. Any board requests or future considerations? Okay, go ahead.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
When Brandon alluded to this in the budget and everything, I know before I asked about how we're doing with numbers and teacher recruitment, but I'd be curious to find out how we're doing. Do we have enough substitutes in the district, and how has that changed since we're increased the pay for that? And is that, I know there's been some state licensure changes with that as well, but how are we doing overall with filling classrooms every day?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. School board meeting norms, Dr. Shab, how do we do?
I would give us an A. We did great.
Good. Okay. We will adjourn this meeting at 6:35, and we'll just need 5 or so minutes to switch into the facilities committee meeting of the whole.